Over the course of human history, advances in medicine and technology have extended our life expectancy through improving our ability to resist and heal disease and injuries. These same technologies, which can be utilized for healing, can now often be used for the purpose of enhancing perfectly capable human beings. This ushers in an era of innovation, of extending the capabilities of humans in ways never thought imagined, yielding a reality where cyborgs will live amongst traditional humans. These developments will carry large consequences if not regulated carefully, and to date, there is reason to believe little progress has been made for society to not turn for the negative. This pessimistic viewpoint on the future of human enhancement is driven by the capitalist system in which we live, and the social actors of profit seeking corporations and the military industrial complex which fuel it. A large gap between the haves and have nots already exists in our society, where very few control the majority of the world's resources at the expense of everyone else. Those who are healthy and possess the resources or capital will drive demand for corporations to produce enhancements specifically for them. In addition, the military will drive demand for corporations to develop enhancement technologies for soldiers on the battlefield, which ultimately will be commercialized for those who can afford them in the market. Capitalism always prioritizes producing profit over achieving social equality, meaning that those with less resources are actually in need of healing will be skipped over in order to make more money from selling enhancement technologies. As enhancement technologies penetrate into the mainstream of privileged populations, we will see that the group's cognitive and physical abilities outpace those of the traditional human we know today, opening up the door for some extreme inequality and potentially a new dominant species of human.
With the future of human enhancement comes many new technological advancements. Three of many interesting areas that we believe will surely be affected include the health industry, wartime technologies, as well as surveillance. In first, the health industry, we start to see the gray area between healing and enhancement. Through new technologies, we could definitely heal disease, handicaps, and other ailments, but the capabilities of the human body can also be enhanced beyond their current state. We could run faster, jump higher, and lift more, to name a few. Currently, technologies such as the HULC exoskeleton have already begun to enhance our soldiers on the battlefield, which moves us into Area 2. Wartime technologies will undoubtedly be the first to be majorly affected by human enhancement, just as we saw with changes in the way war was fought in World War I with technologies including the machine gun. Human enhancement will change the way in which we fight wars. Unmanned vehicles, augmented infantry, and other automated systems will continue to decrease the number of humans on the battlefield, but increase our capability to kill. Finally, the third area of interest is surveillance. The use of biometric identification, embedded computing devices, or other peripherals on or in the human body, which will create easily trackable constituency, who then will have no perception of privacy. This idea can also bring forward an existential question. How would this affect our individuality? Will we just be a number? The effects on society include overpopulation, social inequality, and conflicts. Starting with overpopulation, which leads into the later two, over the past 150 years, life expectancy has increased at a steady rate of 2.5 years per decade. This means the life expectancy would reach 100 in 6 decades from 2002. Then the total population of the world would increase by a lot, but the resources on the earth would not be able to increase and even will decrease in that same amount of time. By then, people won't have enough resources to accommodate their basic need, especially those in the global south. Social inequality will be another key trend due to this overpopulation. Human enhancement technologies are effectively going to increase the social equality to an extent where two distinct species will potentially exist, humans and the superhumans. Inevitably, the authorities and elites who have access to the resources will get first access to the enhancement technologies. These technologies are eventually going to make its human users unrecognizable as they develop cognitive and physical traits that are well beyond the level of the non-enhanced humans. In a way, they will form a distinct superhuman species, and then they will have to decide how will they either coexist or decimate those from the traditional human lower caste. So these will result in conflicts. And taking this negative point of view, we imagine two likely outcomes for the superhumans when they're interacting with traditional humans. Neither of these involves a peaceful coexistence, since greed and power will carry over to the superhuman race due to the capitalist system being in place. At first, it is most likely that the superhumans choose to form the ruling class of the earth and enslave the normal humans to do tasks of the productivity, essentially slave labor. But because the working labor class will not perform to meet the exceeded expectations of the superhuman class in terms of quality and productivity, this will result in a push towards full automation and using artificial intelligence instead to perform these tasks. And the superhuman race could be compelled to carry out a mass genocide on the normal humans to free up more space for their species on the planet.
When discussing the augmentation of the human body, it would be ignorant to neglect to mention the ethical implications of such a world. As we explore what human enhancement might mean for our future, we can also dive into what it might mean for what is and is not allowed in the growing field. One of these places that we must look is the control and regulation of these technologies. We must discuss where do we draw the line between safety, regulation, and unwarranted control of human life, liberties, and privacy. Just as we rely on the government for security and economic stimulation, is it ethically sound to justify human tracking as a security measure akin to a scientist tracking wildlife for quote-unquote data? A second area of ethical strife would surround social inequality. What are the possible implications of a society where the elite are enhanced while the economic South continues to become separated from the upper and upper middle class workers? Here's where we fall into the idea that it is not ethically responsible for the already powerful upper class to increase their power. While some may suggest restriction or prohibition of human enhancements, this will most likely be ineffective, and according to Fox Swindells in his paper Economic Inequality and Human Enhancement Technology, this would likely just move human enhancement operations across borders or into the underground crime scenes. The sheer cost of enforcing this would far outweigh the cost of providing human enhancement technologies to all citizens of a nation. The third of these interesting ethical issues expands upon experimentation and testing of our new technology. As human enhancements are exactly that, human enhancements, we reach a question of how do we test these new devices? Animal testing can only go so far, and as we know, the ethical backlash that it has gotten in recent history is immense. In the future, we will need to test effectiveness of human enhancements on humans, but how far is too far? Do we test on those who are relying on a last resort to stay alive? These questions are important to understanding the future of human enhancement. As mentioned throughout this presentation, although the future of human enhancement appears to be bright, we should be wary about what it may mean for society. The obvious social stratification that it will create offers a dystopian society shrouded in exploitation and ethical issues. As we prepare for the future, it is important to not lose sight of the social issues of the past and what we can do to prevent history from repeating itself.